Welcome everyone. Today we're going to do a quick video on the Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So where does this come from? What's the point? Well, the Pythagorean Theorem was discovered by the Greek mathematician Pythagoras. What he discovered is that if you take a right triangle, you got the three sides of a right triangle, and we label those three sides A, B, and C. And each one of those sides is specific. You'll notice that A and B create our right angle. So any two sides that form a right angle, those are the two sides that we label A and B in a Pythagorean theorem. And these sides we call legs, like the two legs on your body. Now A and B, either leg can be A or B. It doesn't really matter. And then our third side, C, we call the hypotenuse. So C, you'll notice, is always opposite the right angle. And some people might refer to it as the slanted side. But you want to be careful, because if this is your right angle, the hypotenuse is not the slanted side. But while the hypotenuse is not slanted, it's still the hypotenuse. Alright, so the legs form the right angle. And C is the side, always the side opposite the right angle. And that's the side we call the hypotenuse. Alright, so why are these three sides important? These three sides are important because Mr. Pythagoras discovered that if you made a square off of this side here, let's say this side was 3 units. So you then create a 3 by 3 square. And that, let's say this side was 4 units. So you have a 4 by 4 square. What he discovered, that in a right triangle, if you take these two sides, so this is a total of 9 squares, this is a total of 16 squares. If you create a square off the other side, then those would be equal to one another. So we take 9 and 16, we're going to add them together, and we're going to get the number 25, which means that this side here, for it to be a right triangle, this side here must equal a square that is 25 blocks, which means that the side must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you'll notice 25 blocks, 9 blocks and 16 blocks. When we add those two blocks together, we get the same value. And that takes us to our formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Because if we take 3 and square it, and we take 4 and square it, that will equal 5 squared. 16, oops, pardon me, got ahead of myself. Nine plus 16 equals 25, and we know that's true because 9 plus 16 is 25. So those two values are equal, and that is only true if it is a right triangle. If the triangle is not a right triangle, then that's not true. Well, then what does that relationship allow us to do? That relationship then allows us to find missing sides of any right triangle if I know the other two. So for example, if I know this is 24, and I know this is 12, and I know I'm dealing with a right triangle, I can easily find the other side by using this relationship. So when we look at this triangle, I've got my right angle, I've got a side that's 12, and then a side that's x that forms that right angle. Remember, these are the legs. The legs are A and B. I can then say that A, which I know is x squared, plus B, which I know is 12 squared, will equal C, which I know is 24 squared. And then I can calculate those and then find the missing value for x. So if we square our numbers, we know that 12 squared is 144, 24 squared is 576. Subtract 144 from both sides, solving this equation for x. We find that x squared is equal to 432. Now, we want to figure out what x is, so we have to do the opposite of squaring x, which is taking the square root. So we know that x is equal to the square root of 432, which is approximately 20.8 if we round that to the nearest tenth. So, going back to our original triangle, the side there of x has to be approximately 20.8. And only because we know the relationship of a right triangle are we able to make that conclusion. So that works when A is missing, B is missing, C is missing. So it's that relationship that allows you to do that. In conclusion, so the Pythagorean theorem says that if you take one of the sides of a right triangle, make it a square, take the other leg of the right triangle, make it a square, it equals the square of the hypotenuse. Thank you, Mr. Pythagoras, for giving us that. I hope this helps. See you guys again soon.